The Neurocast from Truthsayers. This is the second part of my conversation with Marc Caulfield, talking about stress in the workplace.
Tell me a bit more about what your goals are with Demolish the Wall.
Well, our mission really is to, in a very, very broad sense, is to normalise mental health within the workplace. In fact, back in the Health and Safety Act of 1974, it states very clearly that you can't treat mental health differently to physical health. But I think if we're all really honest with ourselves, anyone who's managed people, if they're really honest with themselves, and you have a conversation with someone that is, oh, I'm not coming in today because I'm feeling unwell, or I've got a cold, or whatever it happens to be, generally you go, okay, fine. All right, see you tomorrow. Yeah. And I ask people in the workshops and the talks we do, just honestly ask yourself now for a second, if that same person phoned you and said, I was on the tube this morning and I had a panic attack, or I've got myself in such a state about that presentation you've asked me to do, or I've just been diagnosed with depression, or whatever it is, most people will admit they will view that person slightly differently. And they will possibly take positive views, but sometimes if you ask them the question then of, if you're about to give them a pay rise or about to promote them, how would you feel about them admitting they were struggling? And most people, if they're honest, would go, I would be nervous about that. And that's wrong. That's wrong morally, ethically, and legally. So our mission in life really is to get that conversation to be normalized, and for people to get to a point where they know they can put their hand up and they can say to their manager, I'm struggling. And without fear, they're going to lose their job, miss out on pay rises, or just be managed out of the business in the worst case scenario, which does happen.
Yeah, I think these are difficult conversations to have, and that starting those conversations is the challenge, I think, particularly in this setup where, some people are working remotely and you can't pick up on those small signals that somebody's not holding it together. Thinking about our neurotech, how is that going to help in terms of what you can offer to your clients and in order to meet your personal goals?
What I want to do is I want to get to a point where we have a piece of tech that we work with and we partner with that can get to the truth. All right. We're not talking about being able to point the finger at people. We're about trying to understand culture in a business. So if you look at a business and you go, well, hold on a second, what people are telling you and what they're actually doing during the stress assess questionnaire is they're actually coming out with, there is a disparity between what they say and what they mean. Now that's an issue, because that means there might be some cultural issue there, or it might be by department, or it might be by manager, or it might be by location. But it gives senior management, it gives the board, and it gives us as Demolish the Wall the facts to actually then go and make a positive impact and go, right, we have a problem here. Now, that problem may not be an individual thing. It may be a process thing. It may be a cultural thing, but it needs to be addressed, because what you can't have is people too scared to tell you the truth, because you're never going to get anywhere if that's the case. And what we've also found, which I think is interesting here, is all of our best work and our best clients have always been where you have a senior manager or board level person who is willing to put their hand up and go, you know what? I'm not always in a great place. I've struggled. The best piece of work we ever did was where we were doing a workshop. People were quite closed in this meeting. You could tell people were quite guarded. And the CEO, after about an hour, put his hand up and said, can I just have a quick 5 minutes, and proceeded to tell people that he had been seeing a therapist for the last 5 years and was on fairly strong medication for depression. And all of a sudden you could see people go, oh, wow. So if you do that and you're the CEO and we all think you're great, then actually it's okay. So it's normalizing those conversations. It's making those conversations make people feel, if I put my hand up, I'm not going to ruin my career. And that's the most important thing, because lots of physical injuries, you talk about the guy who comes in on a Monday morning who's got a black eye because he's been playing rugby. It's almost like a legendary thing. Oh, you're so cool. But the same thing, someone struggling with a mental health condition, people panic and don't know what to say and don't want to talk to them. And that's just wrong. It's just not right in any way you look at it, morally, ethically, legally, and it needs to change.